we go.
Money, money, making crap for money. Money, and money, money, making.
Hello, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Oakes Roach, and this is Local Spirit. I've been meaning to speak with you about a really exciting topic. It's something that I think is good news, especially because in this time, the world that we're in right now, it just seems like everything is so heavy and dark and depressing. This though, I'm surprised this good news is not being talked about more. So really, I'm just fascinated by it. I want to first start out by talking about, I'm not trying to sell you gold. It is about our new economic system, but I'm just going to tell you the news and how you can support it. But again, I'm not trying to sell you gold. I'll first give some backup or some context. So you might have heard of something called the BRICS or the BRICS nations, and they are a confederacy of nations that have joined together to create their own economic system. So they are called BRICS because it's an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So basically they're saying we're done with the dollar, the standard that has ruled the nations, and we're going to go to our own currency system, and it'll be based on the gold standard. Even this year, there have been more nations that have joined this coalition. Since January, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Argentina, and Egypt have also joined. And even Vietnam is working to create a gold standard currency system. So we can see that we're in a shift, economic shift. And I think most nations are going to look to go to something that has to be backed by gold and silver. Basically, they're done with our fiat currency, fiat meaning fake. And it's what I like to call monopoly money, where we just ascribe a value to our dollar and print more if we need more. Our fiat dollar is not backed by silver and gold because in 1971, President Nixon took us off of the gold standard. Interestingly, it was introduced as a temporary order. That order was introduced as something that will be temporary. I thought, well, doesn't that sound familiar? Anyway, that was the start of our currency declining in value. When currency isn't backed by anything, it loses its value. Historically, this is bad policy. For example, when the decline of the Roman Empire began, they started reducing the purity of silver and gold, and as a result, the money declined in value. That was part of the decline of the empire. And we're doing the same thing. By printing money at a whim, it creates inflation, and it's not sustainable. So I'm not going to bore you with the national debt. I think people hear those numbers like trillions and they tune them out because it's so overwhelming. And we really can't even comprehend trillion. I mean, let alone billion, but then you add trillion and it's just like right over my head. What I will say is that the system that we're in is designed to implode. And the Federal Reserve and the Biden administration, they know it. They know that this has to crash. So because they know that it is designed to implode, they're working on something right now called the CBD, or the Central Bank Digital Currency System, CBDC. Some people call it Biden bucks, and we're working to implement, and they're working to implement that system right now. When you've got the Biden administration and financials advisors saying things like, we're a strong economy, or just keep your money in the market because there are ups and downs. I mean, even folks like well-known advisors like Dave Ramsey, who just this month listed in his How to Prepare for a Recession article, he listed 7 points on how to prepare for the recession. And in number 5, he says, instead, wait, ride it out. Stocks rise and fall all the time. And even if you've seen a loss in your investments, you only feel that loss if you take the money out. Investing is a long game, so leave your money alone. Keep your investments where they are and wait for the upswing to happen, because it will happen. Well, I would say that that is doing a great disservice to many Americans who do not know that we are going into a transitional period. So if you're in a transitional period, you have to take the current system down to implement a new one. And I would argue that your stocks and your investments will also go down. This is just my opinion. But I would say that Dave Ramsey gave advice for the old system, and his advice worked, but not for the new one. And you need to be aware of what is coming and know how to plan for the new system. So this is why I'm so excited about this. Recently, we went to go listen to a man named Kevin Freeman, who wrote a book called Pirate Money. And in that, he explains what the term means in the book. And I won't go into what the term means, but it is based in history and in our US Constitution. He is a CFA, a New York Times bestselling author, and he has briefed national agencies like the alphabet agencies on economic warfare. It describes the economic Great Reset. These are not his words. That is what the World Economic Forum in 2020 called the reset, and it includes a reset of all facets of our lives, one of which is our monetary system. So you can see that there's a storm on the horizon, and we can see how the current administration in the federal government would or could sell the CBDC as the only way out of this storm. The only way out would be to sign up for the CBDC and agree to their terms. So what would their terms might be? Well, you might, or they would have line item veto authority on your purchases. So for example, you donate to a Christian organization or or you support a political candidate that they don't like, and they can turn your card off. They can deny you access to your funds. So say you're at Costco one day, you go to check out and you swipe your card and you get a big denied message on the little terminal there. And you call the bank, and it's a Saturday morning or whatever. Let's say they're closed, and they just tell you it's denied, but they don't have to tell you why. The CBD also, it's like they give you a use license, so the money is not actually yours. And this is really the scary and important part, is that you don't own the money. So you just get to use it. For example, you earn $4,000 a month, let's say. You're authorized to use it, but you don't own it. And you might wonder, well, how is this even legal? It is because in the terms of agreement, you signed away, and you may not have even known, but that's kind of where this is headed. This is all in the fine print. So one of the ways that we can protect ourselves from the forced joining of the CBD is to participate in a different monetary system. So what if there were options? What if there were choices? And that's where I want to get to. That's really what I want to talk to you about. In our Constitution, it states that legal tender is gold and silver. In Article 1, Section 10, it states that states can use gold and silver coin as legal tender. And why is that good? Well, gold and silver retains its value. Gold was $40 an ounce in 1971, and today it is a little over $2,300 an ounce. Silver was $1.50 an ounce, and today it is near $29 an ounce. So contrast that with our dollar. I found an interview with Kevin Freeman with NTD News from just last year, where he shared that in 1970, or that from 1971 to 2023, the US dollar has lost 87% of its purchasing power. That is why everything is so expensive. That's why 30-year-olds are having trouble buying a house. Like any decent house is over $600,000. Add that, the more than 7% interest rate. But what if we had a choice to go to a silver and gold currency system with the true value of gold and silver? This is the exciting part. There is a state-based alternative. Texas now has a bullion depository. The Texas state legislature is working to have its own gold and silver-backed digital currency system. That would mean that gold and silver could be used electronically to transact business. Right now, when you go to redeem an ounce of gold or silver, there's a federal tax because the federal government recognizes gold and silver as an investment. As it is today, you can't actually spend or transact in gold and silver. But with the Texas state legislature working to make gold and silver a means of transactional currency, that would no longer be the case. There's also the decision of the Supreme Court of 1837 that ruled that gold and silver could be used as legal tender. Already, there's a spending card called Glint, a bank and gold depository out of Switzerland that provides spending options using gold. The way it works is you can purchase gold with dollars, and it actually buys gold, and it's held in that Switzerland depository. The middleman is MasterCard, and they issue you a debit card linked to the Glint Bank. You can make purchases using the Glint debit card, and essentially you'd be buying things in gold. Now, that is in Switzerland, and it's available to US citizens, but why give an international bank business? I think it would be better to back the efforts of the Texas-backed currency system. Progress is being made, and even this last Republican primary held about 7 weeks ago had an initiative on it that would make it legal for gold and silver to be used as legal tender in the state of Texas. That initiative passed, and though it doesn't make it law just yet, it does send a message to the Texas legislature to set it as a legislative priority when the House and Senate convene next year. There are also 22 other states currently considering creation of their own gold-backed economies. There's a list of them on the website Transactional Gold. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. I want to end this message with encouraging you to support this legislation because I believe it can sustain us while we ride out the storm. If we don't have to participate in the CBDC rollout because we have a good option where our money is secure, then why wouldn't we want to make sure that this happens? If we create a local economy using gold and silver, then we don't need the Federal Reserve or the CBDC. So I'm going to encourage you to contact your legislature and just write out a quick email telling them that you want the creation of a gold-backed silver or gold and silver-based economy using the Texas Bullion Depository. Representatives Mark DeRazio and Senators Brian Hughes and Dan Parker are leading the efforts. Urge the Governor Greg Abbott, to make it a legislative priority if we have an emergency session, and also in the next year's session. I'll provide their email addresses in the show notes also. Wherever you live, you might want to write your local representative and senator to let them know you want them to vote yes when this issue comes up. I'm also going to provide a link to find out how to find out your local representatives, and that will be in the show notes. So I hope this message comes to you as a message of hope. I was so bolstered by this information, especially in the world right now with all the doom and gloom. I really believe that what was meant for evil will be turned to good. They've been saying the Great Reset for the last 4 years and how bad it all is. But what if it's a great reset for good? I want to thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.